Okay, so we will go ahead and get started with today's presentation. Again, thank you so much for joining us today and for having some interest in our Master's in Counseling program. Really excited to tell you more about the program today. You'll hear from me. My name is Shelby. I am the admissions counselor for our Master's programs. You'll also soon hear from Dr. Coker. I'll let her introduce herself in just a moment as well. And we have Jesse Tatum on the call as well. And he is the current student. Jesse, you want to just say hello really quickly before we get started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Jesse. I'm in the second year of the MA program, and I just started practicum this quarter.
Thanks, Jesse. And you'll probably hear from Jesse if you haven't already throughout the application cycle. So Dr. Coker, whenever you're ready, we'll get started.
All right. Thank you so much, Shelby, and thanks, Jesse, and thanks everybody for being here with us today on a Saturday. I'm always excited to spend a little time talking about our program. I am Dr. Kelly Coker. I'm a faculty member in the MA in Counseling program, and I'm also currently serving as the program director for the program. So as Shelby said, we want to spend some time today just giving you an overview of our program, giving you a little bit of information. Between Shelby, myself, and Jesse, we'll probably talk at you for 30 minutes or so, but then we definitely want to be sure we leave a little bit of time so that you have questions for us. We will do our best to answer them. If you are interested in another presentation after this one, I do see that question in the chat. We will finish in time for you to join the other presentation. And I don't know, Shelby, is there a different Zoom room for that?
Yeah, I'll get the Zoom links for the other presentations and drop them in the chat for anyone who's interested in attending those later.
Okay, great. All right, so just to get started, I do want to walk through a few slides. So I'm going to share my screen. And just a reminder to everybody, just in case you're not super familiar with Zoom, I think in this age of COVID-19, many of us are much more familiar with Zoom and similar products than maybe we even want to be. But if you could just be sure that you keep your microphone muted. Sometimes it can be very sensitive and pick up background noise. But again, Shelby will be watching the chat while I'm talking through the slides, so you can ask questions there. And we also will leave some time at the end, as I said, to answer some questions. So you met Shelby and myself, a couple of other members of our team that you would really get to know, especially as you start with us as a new student. Samia Wright is our senior department manager. She basically runs everything in the department and knows everything that you would need to know, from who to contact about registration issues, who the contact people are for other services, just anything with your schedule, with changing classes. Samia knows it all. Dr. Snow is the chair of the Department of Counseling, and he and I often tag team these presentations, and he will likely be doing the next one of these that we do in a month. We do have two primary locations in the MA in Counseling program. We do have a residential hybrid delivery of our program, and we have two campuses in the Palo Alto area. We have our main campus, which is the Allen Calvin campus, and we also have the Los Altos campus. We have a delivery of our MA in Counseling program that is completely online. And so we do rely on spaces like Zoom and teach through our virtual classroom. Even in the Zoom-based program, though, you still meet every week with your class for 2 hours at a time. So the online program is a blend of synchronous and asynchronous. Of course, one of the things we have to say is in our current circumstance, because of COVID-19, all of our offerings are currently online. So we have newly admitted students that started with us in the fall that are in our residential hybrid program, but for now, all of their experiences are online. So one of the benefits of our program is that all of our faculty and all of our courses have an online delivery option. So we really have a team that knows how to work in this environment. We have all of our classes already set up using our LMS Canvas and also using Zoom. So for us, this transition to have to move everything online, at least temporarily, has been pretty seamless. One of the things you may have noticed about our program is that we are CACREP accredited. As you're researching master's level counseling programs, it's an important thing to look for. CACREP is a hallmark of quality for a counseling program. CACREP stands for the Council for the Accreditation of Counseling and Related Educational Programs. Both of our emphasis areas are CACREP accredited. We were accredited for a full 8-year cycle. So our clinical mental health counseling specialty and our marriage, child, and family specialty are both CACREP accredited. So why is this important and why does it matter? One of the biggest reasons to look for a CACREP accredited program has to do with licensure. The Master's in Counseling is a degree that many people get to then seek licensure as a professional counselor in the field. Many states recognize CACREP accredited programs as meeting the educational requirements for licensure. Another reason CACREP is important is that there are some associations and organizations like the Department of Veterans Affairs, TRICARE Insurance, the Army Addiction Program. So if you're interested in working with active duty military or military families, those organizations also recognize CACREP accreditation as meeting the requirements for professional counselors that those areas might hire. If you graduate from a CACREP accredited program, because it is typical for state licensure boards to require CACREP accreditation, or at least to require alignment with CACREP curriculum, it does help with portability of your license. So say you are in New Jersey and you get your license in New Jersey, but then you want to transfer your license to another state. The fact that you've graduated from a CACREP accredited program helps that transferability of license. So several benefits, but again, think about CACREP as just kind of that primary mark of quality. And we have to work hard to maintain our CACREP accreditation. I just had to submit this week a mid-cycle report to CACREP. We have to do an annual data report every year. We have to do vital statistics reporting. We have to ensure ongoing alignment with our curriculum. So it's an ongoing process to retain CACREP accreditation. So speaking of quality, we have an awesome faculty at PAU in the MA counseling program. We currently have 15 core faculty members in our program. We certainly have a large number, probably 25 or so adjunct faculty who are also excellent, who teach with us in our MA and counseling program. Because we're a CACREP accredited program, CACREP requires that faculty are involved in every aspect of program delivery, curriculum delivery, field experience. So each of our core faculty members, you know, we all teach and we all advise, but we all usually wear another hat that helps to kind of keep the program going. So these are some of our excellent faculty. Here's more. And this group, I've been a counselor educator really since 1998 in different programs over the years. And I will say that this group of faculty is just the best group of colleagues that I could ask for. We all like each other a lot. We all like to have fun. We all have a level of national reputation in the field, so we're very well connected with other states and associations. And, you know, this is a group that does some interesting research and really focuses on excellent pedagogy. So it's a great group to work with as a colleague, and our students certainly tell us again and again that it's a great group to work with in your classes and as advisors. All of our core faculty serve as advisors. So when you come into the program, you're assigned a faculty advisor, and it's one of our core faculty, and that person really stays with you throughout the program. So it's the person you can always talk to if you have a question, if you want to talk through licensure or practicum or your program of study. So you always have a core faculty member as kind of a touchstone when you're with us at PAU. I want to share a little bit of detail about the delivery formats that we have. So whether you're in our residential hybrid program, and again, that's for students who are in and around the Bay Area, who have the ability to come to campus and take some of our courses there. So whether you're in the residential hybrid program or the distance learning program, you're looking at a 93 quarter unit program. So at PAU, we are on quarters and not semesters. So you have a fall, winter, spring, and summer quarter. We expect continuous enrollment across the life of the program. And if you take what's recommended in your program of study, which is about 3 classes per term, you'll finish the whole program in 2 years and 3 months, which is a total of 9 quarters. Now, if you're in the distance learning program, there is an option if you come and join us in the fall quarter. So we don't do this for spring admission, but if you felt like, gosh, 3 classes a quarter might be more than I want to take on, we do have an option for our fall start to do 2 classes a quarter. This is an 11 quarter program, and it takes more like 2 years and 9 months. So let me just show you in a little more detail kind of what each of these look like. So again, this is residential hybrid. Typically in your first year, you're taking classes, often 3 at a time. When, again, we're not in the middle of a global pandemic, you can expect, say, 2 classes on campus to start with, 1 online, typically per quarter. After your first term with us, we do ask you to choose one of the emphasis areas, which is clinical mental health or marriage, family, child. And we do operate on a cohort model. So that means when you are admitted, you're admitted in a cohort group. We keep our cohorts at around 24 students, and you move with that cohort group. So whether you're taking your on-campus classes, your online classes, you're with your cohort group as you move through the program. Once you get into your second year of the program, that's when you can anticipate starting your field experience. So we have a practicum and 2 internships. CACREP requires that your field experience has to equal a total of 700 hours. That includes direct contact hours and indirect contact hours. That field experience takes a minimum of 3 quarters. And we have a variety of sites that we already have affiliation agreements with. We work with you to help find the best site for your practicum and internship. So you're doing that in year 2, then you usually have just a course or 2 to finish up, and then you're ready to graduate. For the distance learning program, it looks very similar. One of the key distinctions, however, is if you're in our online program, you do have the opportunity to participate with us in 2 on-ground residencies. I think this is one of the hallmarks of our program, frankly, because even though I think we do a really good job of developing a dynamic and interactive learning environment in our Zoom classes, there's something to be said for being able to come together as a cohort group, to be face-to-face with each other and a faculty member, and to really practice and work on your counseling skills. Now, of course, our current situation requires that we are not meeting yet in person. So for example, I usually teach the first residency, and this past summer, I had to teach it for the first time virtually, completely virtually. It worked. It was great. We still did a lot of skills practice. We still had lots of opportunities for interaction. So rest assured, until we're back to normal, we have been able to pivot and move these residency experiences into a virtual format. We are definitely hopeful that that is a short-lived experience and that we can kind of get back to normal and get people to campus, because it's wonderful to be able to, again, come together on campus and do some of this intensive clinical skills training as a part of the program. This slide is just showing you what it looks like if you were to come again in the fall quarter in our online format and wanted to go at a bit of a slower pace. So say you did not want to do 3 classes per term, you felt more comfortable with 2. So it just takes a little bit longer, and you don't start your field experience until really kind of after you're almost done with your second year. So you do coursework, and then you would move into your field experience. So again, we only do this for our fall admit. So even though I know you're in this information session and we're currently, looking at opportunities for spring, Shelby can talk to you about the differences in the timing and if you would rather wait and look at a fall opportunity. We do again have 2 emphasis areas, and if you're in California, because PAU is a California-based school, both of our emphasis areas are approved by the California Board of Behavioral Sciences for licensure. So our marriage, family, child emphasis area is approved by the California BBS to meet educational requirements for licensure as a marriage family therapist. Our clinical mental health counseling program is approved by California BBS to meet requirements for LPCC licensure. What we really say to folks who are outside of California is it's really important that you check early and check often what your state licensure requirements are. And when you come to us at PAU, one of the first classes you take is professional orientation. And we spend a lot of time in that class talking about this, encouraging you to do some digging in your own states if you're outside of California, what you might be interested in. And just know that for the marriage, family, child counseling emphasis, the LMFT license in California really doesn't look a lot like LMFT licensure in other states. Many other states are looking for education programs that have a different accreditation than CACREP. That's called COAMFT accreditation. So that's an accreditation from the American Association of Marriage Family Therapy. So as you're looking at joining our program, you come in and get admitted into the MA and counseling program. So you don't have to declare an emphasis right away. But just know that in that first term, you'll want to do some research, and we will be working with you. Your advisor can meet with you and really start talking about different licensure options and what might work best for you and work best for where you intend to do your clinical practice. So this slide is just showing some of the considerations, again, for emphasis area. The areas that are in yellow are essentially saying that our emphasis areas may meet requirements for states, state licensure as MFTs or professional counselors if you're in the marriage, family, child program, but you really need to check with the state. The ones that are green, we know that, and you'll see that most of these are for our clinical mental health counseling emphasis. Whether you're in California or in other states, because we're CACREP accredited and because most state licensure boards look at that, we have pretty good assurance that our program meets the educational requirements for the clinical mental health aligned license. So again, it's just know your states, know what you're hoping to do, and do your research regularly, because the other challenge with state licensure boards is that they often change their regulations. So, you know, even though you may know what's required in your first term, you'll want to look at it regularly, especially when you get towards practicum. So speaking of practicum, we have a whole team whose job it is to support you as you move into your practicum experience. One thing I really like to say to people who are interested in the program is whether you think you would go more full-time and take 3 courses per term, or whether you think you would do more 2 courses per term, just know that when you get to your practicum and internship sequence, that's a part of your training that's going to take some time. When you're in your internship, you essentially are doing 300 hours across 2 quarters, and our quarters are 11 weeks each. So you can do the math, but you're going to have to devote a good bit of time to being able to be at a site placement, seeing clients under supervision. So it's a really important thing to think about. People come to us with very busy lives, very busy home and family lives, very busy career lives. And so you've got to do some forecasting of what you're going to be able to do, how much time you're going to be able to devote to your program, especially once you do get to practicum and internship. Okay, so final slide from me, and then I'm going to turn it over to Shelby. This is just letting you know a bit of what can be required to get a professional license. And this is a California example, but again, many states have similar types of requirements. The important thing to keep in mind is if you get a master's in counseling, that's just the first step towards licensure, right? So licensure boards usually require that you register with the board as a postmaster's professional. You are continuing to do clinical work under an approved supervisor, and this is a supervisor that the board approves. And depending on the state, you have to complete a certain number of additional hours under supervision before you can get your license. So in California, it's 300. Many states require, well, all states require at least 1 exam. Some states require 2, like a law and ethics, and then a final approved exam for licensure. And then you're able to move into the field as a licensed professional. So I am going to turn it over to you, Shelby. Do you want me just to keep driving the slides, or do you want to share?
Yeah, that works. You can keep transitioning through the slides. Thank you. Okay, so I will give you all a little bit of information about the admission requirements and process, but we are having an admissions deep dive Wednesday, October 14th. So I really, really encourage you to attend that if you have some more questions about the admissions process itself. So the application, the documents, deadlines. So this will be kind of a quick snapshot, but if you want more information, definitely come to this deep dive, and we'll be sending more information about that in the next week or so. So as far as the requirements for the Master's in Counseling, you have to complete the application in PsyCast. PsyCast is the portal that we use. It's kind of like the common app for psychology graduate programs. So all of your application materials go through PsyCast, and I'll show you a little bit more about what that looks like. You also have to submit a resume or a CV, a statement of purpose. It's really important that you follow the formatting guidelines and the prompt for the statement of purpose. Sometimes people will submit 4 or 5 pages of text, and the committee's really looking for 2 pages, 1.5 line space that answers the prompt questions. So make sure you follow those guidelines so that you don't have any delays in your application process, because if it doesn't meet them and maybe your pages are 10 pages, which I've seen before, I'll have to email you, ask you to resubmit, and it just really holds you up. So just follow those directions really closely. The 3 letters of recommendation. So they do need to be from professional or academic references. We've gotten lots of applicants in the past who haven't worked for 10, 15, sometimes 20 years or more. And if that's the case for you, let me know. But consider if you don't have work experience or recent academic experience and you maybe volunteered, that's something that you could look into, asking volunteer coordinators or something like that. But if that may be something that's a little bit of a challenge for you to figure out, reach out to me and I'm happy to talk through options with you. And all of your official undergraduate transcripts. So it's really, 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 really important that you have all of your undergraduate transcripts. So if you went to community college and then to a 4-year university, you have to include both. If you did some schooling for a few years, left, came back 10 years later, you'll still need all of those that counted toward your undergraduate degree. And these are all being sent to SciCast. So they do have a link to help you order them. Once you enter your school's information, you can order it, have it sent directly to them. Sometimes your school might have to mail them or they'll have electronic versions, but it's really important that you get those transcripts to SciCast so that your application is complete, especially if you're applying to multiple schools through the SciCast portal. I can send you some more information if you have questions about that, but it's pretty simple as long as you follow the steps. And again, that admissions deep dive, we'll talk some more about the process, so feel free to come to that. And then the last thing is, if your application looks good, you may be granted an interview. And then from there, the committee evaluates you and makes an admission decision. Okay, so unauthorized states. So recently, I can't get into all the legal jargon because I'm not an attorney, but basically there was a law that said schools with online programs have to be authorized in states in order to have students participate in those states. So if you are located in one of these states, unfortunately, we cannot have you, we cannot admit you into our online master's programs. So if you're in one of these states and you're considering moving, reach out to me. We can talk more about your specific situation. But if you're located in one of these states, as of now, PAU is not authorized to have its online programs in those states. So maybe I would strongly suggest you don't apply if you're in one of these states, and then reach out to me and we can talk about what your future plans are, or help you find a good fit. And there's also a link on that page, on that slide, where you can go look at the list because it's constantly being updated as you get changes. This list is also, if you've gotten any blast emails from me, you'll have the link in those emails as well. But if you'd like to have it, just reach out to me and I can send it to you. It's on our website. So the SciCast portal looks something like this. This is the transcript entry page. I get a lot of questions about this particular part of the application process. So SciCast does require that you enter all of your academic history and it has to match your transcripts. It does take a while. So you have 2 options. You can carve out some time on your own to fill all of this out. I would definitely recommend a few hours just in case. Or you can pay SciCast to do it for you. I'm not sure what their fee is, but they will do it for you. But keep in mind, it takes them anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks after they've received your official transcript. So either way, it's a bit time consuming. If you do it yourself, though, at least you can knock it all out at once and know it's finished. If you do it yourself and your transcripts don't match what you've entered, or if you, if you send SciCast your transcripts and maybe there's a school you forgot to mention, they'll flag your application and let you know that you need to make some corrections. So I would just be very careful in the details on this one to make sure that it matches, or pay them to do it for you, whichever fits your circumstance. But it is required. A lot of people ask me, do I have to do this section? And it's a SciCast requirement. If I had my choice, I would just look at your transcripts, but it is a part of their requirement. So make sure you plan for that as well. So if you're interested in any financial aid information, Jessica Ayers and the financial aid team are going to be the folks to reach out to. This is their contact information. If you want to jot that down, you can also find it on our website. If you are an international student or planning to use any military-related benefits, Lisa Harris is going to be your best resource to talk to about those things. So if either of these situations fits you, definitely reach out to these two folks. As far as tuition, for the 2020-2021 school year, it's approximately $54,000. For the folks who are applying for fall, you will have 2021-22 tuition, so this is not going to apply to people who are planning to attend in the fall. The 2021 year will wrap up with the spring applicants. So if you're a spring person, this applies to you. If you're a fall person, we'll have to wait probably until January or February to find out what the new tuition rates will be. And with that, we'll start with some questions. I know the chat's been booming, so Dr. Coker or Jesse, if you see anything that you think could be answered aloud, feel free to find those and let us know. I know I saw one question that was about the PsyD and the PhD. The Master's in Counseling does not transition into either of those programs. And as of right now, none of the coursework is transferable either, to my knowledge. So if you're interested in the PhD, but you want to start at the master's level, you should look into the MS in psychology. The PsyD is incredibly selective, and neither of the master's programs have any work that transfers into the PsyD. It is the toughest of the programs to get into because they only accept 30 students, and their admission rate for 2018-19 was just 14%. So if you're interested in that program, feel free to go to those sessions later. I did drop the Zoom links in, but just keep in mind the Master's in Counseling is not a transition program for our doctoral programs. The MA is meant to be a standalone program.
I see a question about how the Master's in Counseling program differs from Master's in Psychology. I think that's a good question, an important one to address. The Master's in Counseling program is a licensure leading program. So as Shelby said, what it means to be a standalone program is that the Master's is the terminal degree for the profession of counseling to be licensed as a professional counselor. The Master's in Psychology program, it's a shorter program. It's not a licensure leading program, but it definitely is a program that if, say, you were interested in moving on and getting a PhD in clinical psychology, the Master's of Science in Psychology could be a good feeder program for that pathway. So people who get the Master's of Science in Psychology, and please go to that information session if you're interested. I'm not the expert on that program, but certainly I can let you know that it's not designed to be licensure leading in and of itself. So you can't do clinical practice with the Master's of Science in Psychology. You can with the Master's of Arts in Counseling. And then for the field of psychology, the degree level at which you can be licensed for clinical practice is the PhD. So that's one of the main differences. I'm just there are a lot of questions coming in. So Jesse, it looks like you're getting some of these as they come in. I see that you got the question about days of the week. Yeah, we don't have any classes on Fridays, but it would be if you're in the 3 classes per quarter, it's going to be 3 different days of the week. Now, one of the things we did do this fall, and I'm not sure exactly how this will look in future quarters, but we had enough students who were interested in a 4 p.m. Pacific time start for courses. So we actually have a cohort that has their courses at 4 p.m. 3 nights a week. And then we have another cohort that has their courses at 6 p.m. 3 nights a week. And the residential hybrid is typically 6 p.m. 3 nights a week. So we do try to kind of see who's coming to us from where. I actually am talking to you from my home office in North Carolina. So I work for Palo Alto from the East Coast. I'm currently teaching in the 4 p.m. cohort, which is 7 p.m. for me, and I'm liking that because otherwise I'm teaching from 9 to 11 p.m. So yeah, if you're outside of California, certainly keep in mind, you know, the time differences. I think we have somebody here from UAE, so you might be crack of dawn for your classes, because every class that's virtual meets every week synchronously. So you do have to build that into your schedule. Classes are 2 hours at a time, give or take. When you're in practicum and internship, that schedule adjusts a little bit more because you're doing group supervision, but the actual didactic classes meet on their designated day of the week for 2 hours at a time in Zoom. And you also have additional coursework to complete in our learning management system, Canvas. So there's asynchronous things to do through the week, and then you have your class meeting. You seen anything else, Shelby or Jesse, that we want to speak to?
I think one thing that's important to point out, especially for this year, is when you do apply, you select the cohorts that you're interested in. So the online for 9 quarters, or if you're applying for fall, you're online for 11 terms, hybrid. And so it's really important to make sure that you choose the one that you're for sure interested in, as much as you can possibly be certain about that, because it's really challenging to switch later. Because the cohorts fill up quickly, and then it's a matter of waiting. And so for the students to wait to try to get into another. So try to be really thoughtful about which one you choose, because that's the one that you will be assigned to if there's still space available in that cohort.
Yeah, I'm seeing a question from Lynn about how do you do 9 quarters in 2 years? Remember, it does include the summer quarter. So you're continuously enrolled for 4 quarters for the first year, 4 quarters for the second year, and then an additional quarter. So it will go into the fall quarter of your 3rd year, and that's when you would finish. So that's why it's 2 years and 3 months, and that equals the 9 quarters. I know there's some more questions about things like the difference between MFT and LPCC. Again, I can give you sort of a high level difference, but just know that when you come into the program, that's a really a really big part of the focus in your first term, is to explore the different emphasis areas. In general, if you're in our marriage, family, child emphasis, the focus really is how do you work with clients from a systems perspective. So you might be doing work with families, you might be doing work with couples, you might be interested in working with children, but really wanting to be sure that you're, you know, including the key people in that child's system as part of the consultation and the work that you do. You still could be in the marriage, family, child emphasis and do individual counseling, but the framework's a bit different. You're working more from that sort of systems focus. The LPCC license is one that, from my standpoint, has a really big umbrella. So even underneath that license, it doesn't preclude you from working with kids or working with couples or families, but you're really going to learn in both of these emphasis areas a wide variety of theories and empirically validated interventions that you can pull from to work with clients. So it really is just more of that focus, that more systemic focus, which is kind of a key differentiator. If you're in the marriage, family, child program, there are no electives in that program because the 2 key courses are family systems and I think advanced family counseling. And those are built into your program of study. If you're in a clinical mental health counseling program, we do have 2 electives. So you could take family course if you want. We also have courses in play therapy. We also have just some other interesting We have a course in counseling women. We have a course in working with immigrants. So we have other courses that you can pull from to build out your program of study if you're in the clinical mental health counseling program. And I know we're almost out of time. Is there anything that you all see that we just didn't get to? I know, Shelby, you've got your contact information in there, right? And so.
Yeah, I will put my email address again in the chat as well as Jesse's, and you can reach out to us. I know we might have missed a few questions. A lot are coming in, but we want to make sure folks can get out of here and get to the next sessions if you're interested in attending those. So just look for our email addresses and you can reach out to us if you have any other questions about the Masters in Counseling program. Thank you again for joining us today. And thank you, Dr. Coker and Jesse, for all your wonderful answers to questions and the presentation.